We'll see. And then there's Apple, who, of course, has notable mostly for their absence in any of the AI conversations, has not been able to figure out how to crack the code and get into the AI game. Unquestionably behind all of their peers, made some really big announcements this week that had absolutely nothing to do with AI. Not really.
Their big announcement is that Jeff Williams, their chief operating officer, will be stepping down. And of course, Tim Cook said great things about Jeff Williams' ability to manage supply chain. This press release ended up being like 12 paragraphs, all talking about Apple's supply chain and how the new COO, Sabih Khan, came in through procurement to manage indirect spend. Like, it was a supply chain officer's dream, but it made me think, wow, of all the things Apple could talk about, like, they spent so much time talking about this. And it made me realize, Apple, of course, has a lot of great technology, no doubt about it, but their real differentiator right now is not design. It is a supply chain that manages their global capabilities and ecosystem.
Yeah, in all fairness, I mean, we're sort of making light of this. It was big news from two standpoints. I mean, one, there's no question that Apple has really built its business on two core tenets, right? One was their design, which is what gets all the attention, and their intuitiveness. I use it all the time. I'm a huge fan of this idea of simple, intuitive interfaces, all of that. But the other was supply chain. And when you sort of look at the balance, the shift from Steve Jobs to Tim Cook was really that shift, that they were becoming much more mature. It was about, and Tim Cook was the supply chain guy. And so it is interesting because, in all seriousness, there has been this question about, well, Tim Cook will be retiring at some point in the relatively near future, and who's the heir apparent? And Jeff Williams, another supply chain guy, was seen as that heir apparent. And now with him retiring, it's not actually shifting to Sabih Khan, right? Most people are now starting to think that this is John Turnus, the senior VP of hardware engineering, which is at least closer to the sort of design side of the house, that he is probably now the heir apparent. And so it's intriguing to me, because it's sort of going back to the whole Meta and Grok thing, it does lead me to sort of wonder, is this Apple sort of acknowledging that maybe they over pivoted on this focus on supply chain, and they have to get back to these some of design roots? They've got to become more innovative. Clearly, a lot of people in the industry think so. Clearly, as we move into a world of AI, this is unquestionably going to become important. And clearly, this is something that Apple rather has a ton of runway because of their long period of success here, but it's not going to last forever. So I do think it is interesting that we're seeing this sort of shift in the market of where people are putting their emphasis. So it is newsworthy from that standpoint, as much as we're giving them crap about it.
Yeah, but it just feels like, oh, this is who they're giving the Johnny Ive farewell treatment to. And it does feel like, I know Microsoft's situation was different. Steve Ballmer is more of a sales operations guy, not a supply chain operations guy, but Microsoft had to move from being more sales operations focused and get back to product again. Apple might be in the same situation where they have overloaded on supply chain and now have to get back to figuring out product a little bit again.
Well, and let's call a spade a spade. I mean, they're still selling a ton of product again, or they're not by any stretch of any imagination.
Yeah, they have trouble. Cash. I'm not worried about Apple's cash.
Right, but let's call it spade a spade. Supply chain only matters if you're moving a lot of product, and that is something that they are still sort of resting on their laurels with, and they need to find the next killer product, and clearly they haven't been able to do that yet. So.